As I was scrolling through social media, this stat popped up. The 10 happiest countries in the world. And my For You page is very targeted, and I'm constantly giving stats like this. And what is always in the top 5? Scandinavia, specifically Sweden. And what's never even in the top 10? North America, where I'm originally from. As someone who lives half the year in Sweden and half the year in Canada, I've noticed 5 reasons I think Swedes are happier than any country in North America, alongside the 5 statistical reasons science says they are happier. Yeah, there's science of happiness. Crazy, crazy. Number 1, the bad weather. Now hear me out. I asked my boyfriend, he's Swedish, born and raised in Sweden, but actually lived 5 years in US and 5 years in Canada. And I asked him, I was like, why do you think Swedes are happier? And he said the bad weather. I'm like, no, you're telling me seasonal depression makes someone happy? No. But then he explained it to me and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Dopamine. The bane of our existence. Tim Ferriss once mentioned on a podcast how he always has a vacation plan like 4 or 5 years in advance, because the best part about a vacation is knowing you have a vacation coming. It makes work and the grind worth it. You're like, I'm a month away. You're counting down towards Christmas. You're counting down towards that trip to Spain or Mexico or wherever you're going. And there's so much excitement. It's that anticipation that you wait up for. And that's what the bad weather gives you. During all the crappy weather, you know you have this beautiful June, July to look forward to. It makes the grind worth it. Number 2, maternal and paternal leave. Americans, Canadians, take a deep breath. This one's gonna hurt. New Swedish parents get 480 days of paid parent leave, where they get up to 80% of their salary. And it's usually half is for the mom and half for the dad, so they get both. Also, Sweden is a very friendly LGBTQ plus country, so those 480 days can be split between parents in whatever quantity they want, regardless of gender identity. And my conclusion, just noticing this, there's less of a stress of having kids. You feel more supported. When you feel more supported, you have more kids. The kids are raised happier and healthier because the parents are less stressed. And personally, as a woman, I think having the flexibility of also having paternal leave is amazing. Like, I think that's one of the biggest issues with women pay discrimination. You hire a woman,
I'm gonna have to pay for maternal leave.
but they don't have that in Sweden because they also have paternal leave. I'm not a social scientist. That's just my own observation. But yeah, that rocks. 3, also observed by my boyfriend, they have less friends. Once again, he said that. I was like, you are full of bullshit, sir.
How would having less friends make you happier?
And he explained they have smaller, tight-knit friends. Swedes typically, I'm stereotyping, very introverted, especially compared to North Americans. You kind of stay in your bubble. You have your friends, but you have your good friends. On my TikTok, I'm constantly giving low social battery friendships. Those friends that you can just sit and not talk to. You can watch a movie and you don't have to entertain each other. And it seems to be Swedes typically have a lot more of these. They just have smaller friends they've had for a long time that when you hang out with them, it's not this big, oh, I'm gonna be drained after. Now, I'm lucky, I have friends like that, my close friends, but I've also been in periods where in my life where I have so many acquaintances and I just feel my social battery is always drained. It's a work to maintain a lot of friendships. And when you have so many acquaintances and work, it's just constantly, we're pulled 1,000 ways because I gotta hang out with this friend this weekend and that friend this weekend. And because I'm hanging with that friend, I'm not hanging with that friend group. And I feel a lot of that in North America. There's just a little bit less of that in Sweden. So less friends, so you can put more focus on them, and less wasted energy on acquaintances. Acquaintances are big in North America, I find. And if you're one of my acquaintances, I still love you. Number 4, they prioritize fitting in versus standing out. Now, Scandinavia is really known for their minimalist look of things. Just think Scandinavian design. And it really caters down to this like ethos of prioritizing fitting in. There's almost a distaste to stand out in Sweden. Once again, stereotyping. But even think down to their fashion. It's very quiet luxury. Sweden loves their quiet luxury. They love their quality things with no logos. Now, how this contributes to health and happiness, because they all participate in healthy activities, they all work out, it's prioritized to really invest in your health. Because you want to fit in, it's encouraged to be like your peers. And because your neighbors are healthy and working out, you're encouraged to be healthy and working out. Versus North America really prioritizes uniqueness, standing out. If there's one thing I feel the left and the right can agree on in North America, it's being unique. Because either you're on the right, you really prioritize working hard and reaping the benefits of your hard work. It's about that entrepreneur that starts out small and works hard and grinds till he's in the top 1%. On the flip side, on the left, that really encourages uniqueness. Identifying exactly how you want to be, being your own unique individual and whatever makes you happiest. Both about standing out uniquely. There's a bit of a disdain about that in Sweden, not fully. Once again, stereotyping. Especially now because of social media, there's just more of a connection in the world, so some of these stereotypes are kind of fading away. And because the identity of being a Swede is participating in health and wellness and just being generally healthy and happy, I think it's encouraged amongst their individuals. And when I say healthiness leads to happiness typically, so that's why that. Number 5, they are obsessed with getting outside. First, their cities are not designed to get around by car. Obviously, they have roads. Their cities are designed to get by public transport, walking, biking, versus in North America, you are meant to drive. Even if it is 3 blocks, it is somehow inconvenient. And so you drive, especially if you live in somewhere like Edmonton, Alberta, where I'm born and raised. I would drive to 7-Eleven when I lived there. That was 2 blocks away. Versus sometimes Sweden, I'm walking across the city. Like it's easier. And back to the weather, also there's just this love of winter activities. They really have a passion towards skiing, cross-country skiing, hiking outside. There is the old Swedish saying, there's no bad weather, just bad clothes. And it's just part of their ethos and identity to get outside despite the weather. I was just reflecting how that's kind of my mother. And I'm like, oh, I used to disdain it. And now I'm talking about it on the internet. Actually, speaking of family, that is a big thing that I think Sweden really prioritizes. It's just like everything is surrounded about the family. Everything is for raising kids, happy, healthy family. And it's just, that is the biggest priority with work-life balance. Everything is just having time with your family is prioritized. And whenever I come here, it really helps me reflect of like, when was the last time you called your mother Keltie? And speaking of which, I'm constantly worried about my mother's health. She is aging. That is eye-opening. Once you hit over 21, you realize your parents are also aging, and that's frightening. So recently I decided, how can I keep my mom healthy as possible while I'm on the other side of the world? I shipped her all the AG1 humanly possible.
Hey! Wow!
You've all seen me talk about AG1 on this channel many times, and just to prove how much I love it is I want all my family members taking it. I send it to my brother, his fiance, my mom, my stepdad, and my boyfriend. We all take it every single day because I genuinely love it. First, it tastes great. It's like part of just my daily routine, and I love that, and it's simple. I don't like things that take too much effort, too much mind power. Whenever I hear about a new supplement, I'm like, oh, I gotta add that into routine, and I buy it and I forget to take it. Versus I realize AG1 is a premium product, but I like that it's not just one product. It has things that help with immune defense, focus and energy, gut health and nutrient replenishment, stress and mood balance, healthy aging. It has your prebiotics, probiotics, vitamins and minerals. And yes, you're someone who could go and figure out exactly the milligram of each dose you personally need, but like no one's going to get that done. I just like to know I have a wide variety of things, and it's my nutritional insurance. And of course, if I'm going to talk about something, I'm going to have a deal for you guys. First, you can click my QR code. They sent me a QR code. We are living in the future, people. Or you can click my link down below. And with your first purchase, you will get a 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free travel packets with your first purchase of AG1. Thank you, AG1, for sponsoring this video and the whole O'Connor, PRV, Burroughs family. We're a mixed breed here, but we all take AG1. Now, that's just kind of what I've observed, but what does the stats actually say? Because I'm not a statistician, so this is just my own observation, but fun fact, stats was my best subject in university. That's a lame fact about me. Anyways, let's jump into the 5 statistical reasons Swedes are happier than us. Number 1, welfare state generosity. In a study of 18 industrial countries examining an index capturing things such as pension, income, maintenance for ill or disabled, and unemployment benefits, it shows that countries' generosity in these areas have a positive impact on life satisfaction. Also, when you're just not constantly in a fear of going unemployed, or you're not unemployed, you're genuinely going to be happier. Sweden just has a lot of protocols in place to make sure people don't have quite a fear of not being employed, and no, money doesn't buy happiness, but just reducing the lack of it just means a lot less stress. Number 2, institutional quality. Quality of government also actually contributes to high life satisfaction. You're probably like, Keltie, what does that even mean? Quality of government is divided into 2 dimensions: democratic quality and delivery quality. The first means the access to power, so ability to participate in selecting government, freedom of expression, and political stability. Delivery quality means exercise of power, including the rule of law, control of corruption, regulatory quality, and government effectiveness, all of which are felt strongly in Nordic countries, specifically Sweden. So it just feels like you have some input in your own government. Number 3, income inequality. Now, fun fact, my research actually showed there's no direct link between income inequality and happiness. They can't find countries that have low inequality of income, are less happy or more happy. But it's like kind of a placebo effect. Living in a highly developed welfare state seems to have an impact on people's perception of the acceptance of income inequality. Low levels of inequality might be important for the happiness of Nordic citizens, even though the same direct effect is not visible in many other countries. Random fun Swedish fact is it's mainly a cashless society. Like everywhere takes card. They have this thing called Swish, which is kind of like e-transfer, Venmo, but you just have a number, you can send people money and businesses take it. So this is actually my first time touching Swedish cash. Every country that's not your own, money feels like monopoly money. It's more so that people in Nordic countries feel that there's less inequality, so they're happier just knowing generally people are cared for. So that seems to be the only link they can make it, because there's other countries around the world that just don't have that clear direct link. Inequality equals unhappiness. Like there's some of the happiest countries in the world have high inequality. It just tends to be this weird Nordic thing. Number 4, freedom to make life choices. Autonomy and the freedom to make life choices are known to be connected with subjective well-being. Now, first, you're probably like, Keltie, weren't you just saying at the beginning that you prioritize uniqueness in North America versus just everyone fitting in here in Sweden? So wouldn't that mean less freedom of choice? There feels to be more of a freedom of choice in terms of your job, health, wellness, in that sense. Like, here's how I'd paint the picture. There's nicer homes and there's not as nice homes in Sweden for sure, but there's not just quite big of a gap. Like, you don't walk around and see a $30 million home and you're not sitting there like, oh, I'll never be able to afford that. 'Cause that's how I feel in Vancouver. I'm just like, I can't afford any of these homes. Versus here, even the nicest of homes aren't so unattainable. Like, you kind of have this sense of freedom that the jobs available you could get and you could work hard and you could eventually have that really nice house, or you could have a bit more of a simpler life and be maintained. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. We're in Sundsvall right now, and I'm in one of the nicer neighborhoods. And I'm gonna show you some of the houses. And by no means am I saying they're small and dainty. They're still big and gorgeous. But considering these are the nicest, biggest homes that you would aspire to be here, versus think of a $5 million house in Texas or a $20 million house in Vancouver, LA. Like, think how massive and lavish they are versus these. Like I said, still gorgeous big homes, but they're not a $10 million mansion from Texas. If I was in one of the major cities like Gothenburg, Malmo, or Stockholm, the houses would definitely be a bit more modern and a bit bigger, but I think this is a good representation. There's not as much of like, I'm never going to be a multi-millionaire, like, because your starting point is so low. Like, I think a lot of people in North America feel that their starting point is so low, they will never get there because they didn't have the proper education, and then they start out with debt. Like, I started out with a lot of debt. So the thought that I can buy a house before the age of 35, no way. I started out with so much debt. How's that even possible? Like, that's how I kind of feel is the difference. It's this freedom that, like, what you want to do, you can actually, oh, sorry, my hip is cramping. Oh. There's just less of that divide of like the top is never possible, just in terms of the wealth spectrum, in terms of like health and wellness, in terms of just that spectrum, it's a bit smaller. And so it feels wherever you kind of want to go, you have that freedom for it versus like freedom of expression, which I think at first when I read that title is what I thought it would talk about. And you do have freedom of expression here in Scandinavia. I just feel Swedes typically just like a bit more of a simple outfit choice. Number 5, trust in people. Trust in other people has also been linked to citizens' happiness. The most commonly used measure of generalized trust asks about whether most people can be trusted, such as whether people believe that a lost wallet will return to the owner. And this, I can confirm. I have lost 2 wallets in Canada. Both were not returned. They were long gone. Now, last summer, I was here in Sweden and I was at ICA, dropped my wallet out of my bag. I have an Airtag in it. So within 10 minutes, I realized, sprinted back and it was gone. And I was distraught. I was like, darn it, I lost my wallet. It was at a bus stop too. I was like, if there's ever a prime time to pick up a wallet and go, it was then. But then suddenly my wallet AirTag was saying it was at my neighbor's house. Like not a direct neighbor, like we live in an apartment building just like a block away. I'm like, this is weird. So I walked up to it and there's this lovely old couple. It was on the first floor. They're out in their garden and they were on the phone. They didn't speak much English and they're on the phone and they gave me the phone. It was their son who spoke perfect English. And I was like, this is so weird, but like I lost my wallet and it says it's here. These lovely couple had called their son because they noticed my ID was English and they were calling him so he could call the cops to return my wallet because they saw it, and within 30 seconds of my wallet like dropping, they instantly grabbed it because they wanted to make sure it wasn't stolen. So once again, I'm not saying everyone steals a wallet in Canada. There's a lot that don't, and same in US. And there's definitely people in Sweden who steal wallets, but I'm just saying 0 for 2 Canada, 1 for 1 Sweden. Also, get an AirTag. Honestly, AI is not the best invention of 2023, 2024. It is AirTags. Now, before you say, peace out, North America, I'm moving to a Nordic country, some caveats. There is a question whether this like Nordic model is actually sustainable over time. Also, if it's sustainable in bigger countries. That is also something people don't talk about a lot. Scandinavia, all the countries are a lot smaller. Like they're the size of the province and states of Canada and US. Like US specifically is really 50 countries jammed into one. And sometimes I give US a bit of a benefit of doubt when things seem crazy because I'm like, it's like asking Spain, Italy, Switzerland, Sweden, and Ireland to all be like, hey, you all agree on everything, all political things, and every single person's like, we have such different views on life than you. It's freezing here and it's too warm there. So I think we don't take that into account sometimes when we glamorize Europe and we forget they're just smaller. So it's a lot easier to get everyone on board when things are smaller. Versus like, you can't tell me New York and LA have the same problems. They're so different. And I definitely do feel blessed that I get to experience both North America and Europe. But it is a contrast. Like I feel I get overstimulated, overwhelmed, overworked in North America. And then I come here and I relax and life seems easy and simple and just everything's happy. And then I get bored and then I want the chaos. Sometimes we forget the chaos is fun. On the flip side, I think when we think happiness, we think entertainment. We think novelty. We think happiness means these events and entertainment. If that was the case, Vegas would be the happiest city on earth. And as someone who just came from Vegas, I can confirm, my God, I was happy, but my God, was I happy to get out of there. So the happiness really in Scandinavia, specifically Sweden, just comes from the lack of fear, the lack of loss, less stress and basic needs met. It's that kind of idea of like money doesn't buy you happiness. No, it's not gonna like replace a loved one. As someone who has in times in my life had no money, it is so hard to be happy at all when you're constantly stressed about money. The Nordic countries, Sweden, have really just done a good job of making sure people don't have that. And I think that's where the happiness is, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's like peak serotonin and joy. I'm in Vegas at 3 a.m. watching Dum Dolla, because my God, I was happy. But is that sustainable every day? God, no. And also there is some bad things people don't talk about Sweden. For example, like the price of gas in a car here is mind-blowing. And if I want to buy the same used car here in Sweden, it is literally 4 times the price. I was like, what? And also, you know what? I'm going to pick on Sweden a little bit. I have never seen a country so self-deprecating in a way that's like semi-pick-me energy. You would think you'd come here and they're sitting here and be like, oh, we do live in the best country on earth and it's so wonderful and our lives are so wonderful. But they like kind of hate on Sweden, but like we all hate on our own countries. But we're all sitting here being like,
oh yeah, must suck to be Swedish, huh? Must suck to have all your basic needs met.
So it's given a bit pick-me. Sometimes Sweden's a bit pick-me. I'm going to tell you that. All my Swedes, I love you. But sometimes you're like, oh, Swedes, all this. But deep down, you know everyone else in the world is sitting there being like, whoa, what's it like in Sweden? So it's a bit like, get off your high horse. We know you're being self-deprecating, but deep down, you know you're beating us all in this. But once again, it's easier said than done. I think a lot of us glamorize it. And as someone who has zero education on governments, I think we glamorize Scandinavia a bit and forget just like the size difference. I don't know if stuff like this is possible in US and Canada. Maybe one day. I just mean, I think it's easier to do here simply because of the size. But once again, a lot of you are probably government officials. I hope not. Actually, no, that's scary. But if you are, I mean, like, you're people that are educated in this. If so, comment down below, because I think that's an observation I've made. I was like, I go to Canada, I was like, why can't we do this? And then I look around in downtown Vancouver, and I'm like, oh, we jammed 1 million people into like a 5-block radius. just some food for thought. Let me know down in the comments other places. I've been really enjoying this like healthy habits. I thought happiness, it's hard to be healthy if you're not happy. Like, or what's the point of being healthy if you're not happy? Like, I feel healthiness and happiness kind of go hand in hand. So I thought this was a nice little spin. Let me know some other places. I'm thinking I might be going to Italy this summer, and I think I would love to do a video there. And I do still have to do one on Vancouver. It is in the works. But comment down below any other videos like this you guys would like me to do. It's just a fun way to examine like what health and happiness looks like in different places. Mainly it's Sweden and Canada and US, but I would love to step outside that. Hopefully if you guys are from Sweden or other Nordic countries, comment down below your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. And most importantly, have a great day. Go pet a dog. Love you guys. Bye.